In this lesson, we are going to create a complex building using some of the shapes that we have learned to draw in previous lessons. To create this building, start by clicking on the rectangle tool and drawing a rectangle at the base of the workspace. Click on the origin point and draw a large rectangle on the floor of the workspace. When you're happy with the size of the rectangle, click the mouse button to complete the shape. Now select the push-pull tool and use the push-pull tool to create a 3D rectangle. Click on the rectangle, move the mouse cursor upward until you have a shape where you are happy with the size. When you're ready, click the mouse button to complete the 3D rectangle. Now use the orbit tool and pan around to the front of the building. You can use the pan tool to move the building into the center of your screen and zoom out if necessary. We are now going to draw a rainbow-shaped door on the front of our building. To do this, first select the rectangle tool and draw a square in the front of the building. Once you've done this, select the arc tool and draw an arc on the top of the square or rectangle that you have just drawn. Click on the first endpoint and then click on the opposite endpoint and move the mouse cursor upward until you have a half circle. Now use the eraser tool and erase the dividing line in the doorway. We are now going to use the offset tool to create the rainbow shape of the door. To do this, select the offset tool, click on the side of the doorway and move the mouse cursor outward until you have a larger copy of the arch. When you're ready, click the mouse button to complete the copy. Do this again to create several versions of the archway. I will work with just 3 extra archways. Now use the eraser tool and delete the lines at the bottom of the building that we don't need. We now have a rainbow-shaped doorway. Zoom out from the building and rotate around to the side so we can see the doorway from the side angle. Now use the push-pull tool to create an entranceway to the building. Click on the innermost archway and move the archway outward. Click on the next archway and move this outward also. Then click on the third, move that one outward, and the fourth. This will be the entrance to our building. Now we have drawn the entranceway, we are going to use the circle tool to add some windows around the door. To do this, use the orbit tool to rotate around to the front of your building. Position the building so you can see the front of the door. With a good front view, we can start to draw the windows. To draw windows around our doorway, we're going to use the circle tool and the move tool. You may need to use the orbit tool to reposition the camera so that you can see what you're doing as you work. Select the circle tool and draw a circular window at the side of your doorway. When you've done this, select the move tool, zoom in slightly, and hold the cursor over the window you've just drawn. The circle will become blue. Press the Option key and hold it down. Click the mouse button and move the cursor upward to make a copy of your window. Repeat this and draw windows around the doorway. We can make copies until they are around the whole door. Use the move tool and you hold the Option key down and move the circle to the other side of the door, and use the green guiding line to help you make sure that they are all spaced out equally. When the line turns green, you will be able to see that they are placed on the same position of the door. If you make a mistake and put a window in the wrong place, simply go to Edit, Undo Copy, and change the piece that you've just copied. We now have a collection of windows around the doorway. We can simply copy the windows again onto the other archway sections. When you've finished placing all of the windows, you can rotate around the doorway to make sure that all the windows are in a suitable position. If you don't like the position of any of the windows, for example the ones on the right hand side of my building aren't in line with the others, I can simply click on the move tool, click on the circle and move the circle around the doorway to put it into a better position. Using the orbit tool, I can see that the windows are in a much better position than before. To finish the front of the building, we can add some windows and finish the front door. To do this, simply use the line tool and create a straight line dividing the front door. We'll turn this into a glass door later. Zoom out slightly and draw some other windows on the front of the building. To do this, use the rectangle tool, draw a doorway, click on the arc tool and create an archway. Again, click on the eraser tool and erase the dividing line. Use the move tool, hold the option key and create a copy of the door. And that's the front of our building completed. Now we have completed the front of our building, we can create a dome on the roof. To do this, use the orbit tool to rotate the camera into a better position so you can see the entire roof of your building. Now use the circle tool and draw a circle on the roof of your building. Use the orbit tool to move back around to the side of the building. Click back on the circle tool and move the cursor to the center point of your circle. Press the right arrow key and the cursor will become red. This will allow us to draw a vertical circle. Click the mouse button and drag the cursor outward until you have a circle that is slightly smaller than the first. When you are ready, press the mouse button to complete the circle. You will now have a vertical semicircle on the roof of your building. Click on the selection tool, click on the horizontal circle, the first one you drew, so it turns blue. Now select the Follow Me tool. Now click on your vertical circle and you will have a dome on your building. Click on the eraser tool and erase the outer line. We now have a dome on the top of our building. We can now add some finishing touches to our building. We're going to add some cones to the corners of the roof. To do this, adjust the camera so that you are looking down on the top of the building. Use the circle tool to draw a circle in the corner. If you're not happy with the placement, simply use the move tool to adjust its position. Use the orbit tool to rotate the view. And click on the line tool. Find the center point of your circle. Press the left arrow key so you draw along the blue axis and draw a vertical line. Click on the end point of the line you've just created and then click on the end point of the circle. Now join the bottom of the two lines you've just created. Click on the selection tool, click on the circle, then click Follow Me and click on the triangle. And you have added a cone to your building. Rotate the camera and look back down at the top of the building. Now select the move tool, hold the cursor over, click on the selection tool, then click on the move tool, hold the cursor over your cone, press Option and create a copy of the cone. Put one cone in each corner of the building. Use the orbit tool to rotate the camera, and we can see we have a complex building that is being created. To complete the building, we are going to add colour and texture. To do this, select the Colours panel, the Paint Bucket tool. Select the brick, which is the texture palette, and select glass and mirrors. Add a glass effect to each of the windows in your building. When you've added windows, you can add colour and texture any way you like. We can give a stone look to the building. Simply rotate around the building and add your textures. Finally, we're going to add colour to our rainbow-shaped doorway. To do this, change from stone to colours in the texture panel. Click on the colour wheel and select the colours that you would like to use. Click on the different sections of the doorway to colour them in. Use the orbit tool to move around the doorway and make sure you've coloured in each section. When you've done that, your building is completed. If you like, you can add more windows, more decoration and more shapes, or you can alter the textures and colours and see what looks best.